All right, Philip Clinton here with the Just Good Network. We are presented by God Skills Pro. I'm here with Santiago. Santiago, thank you for really joining with us today. It's a pleasure. Hope you've been good today. We're just going to get right into it. The Buffalo Bills, they've been slipping a little bit the past few weeks. All of a sudden, week 1, week 2, we thought they were the most convincing team in football. We thought Super Bowl aspirations. They were the heavy favorites, everything like that. Now, all of a sudden, the past 2 weeks, with the Jets and the Dolphins catching up to them, they've been slipping a little bit, and Josh Allen is now playing through an injury. I have to ask, are the Bills in danger of not reaching their ultimate goal of winning a championship? Do you think that they're just in a pretty competitive division, or do you think it's time to maybe hit the panic button in Buffalo?
I think they still have a chance to win the games because looking at the rest of their schedule, they play the Browns, the Lions, the Patriots, Jets, Dolphins, Bears, Bengals, and the Patriots again. Multiple winnable games right here. It looks like a relatively easy schedule. I'm not going to say like they're going to win everything, but I think they split a game with the Patriots. I think they could beat the Dolphins and they could beat the Bengals and the Jets. So everything here, a lot of their games look winnable. It's not ridiculously tough games. But I think what concerns me the most right here, and I think they should start panicking about this, is Josh Allen's recent performances. In his last 3 games, he's thrown 6 interceptions and has fumbled the ball, and that is a cause for concern. Defense gets Jordan Poyer back, which is a positive. So looking at that, I think their defense increases. I think their production increases. I think they better. But offensively, they need to get Josh Allen playing at the form that he is. He's only completed 64% of his passes, which is like in on the bottom tier in the league. And if we're talking about an MVP caliber quarterback here, he should be playing at a better level. So I think really just comes to Josh Allen. If he can tweak what he's doing, like play better, especially in the red zone, I think they can win out. I think they can win a lot of their games, and they can win the division. It's in the realm of possibility. Everything's looking good for them, with the exception of Josh Allen. So I think he starts playing better. I think the Bills will start playing better, and I do think it's a worry, but I don't think it's that big of a worry.
I agree completely. And also about Josh Allen, really quick. Obviously, he's had a shoulder injury. He almost missed this past week against the Vikings, which was unbelievable. If anybody didn't watch it, if you just want to go and watch the highlights of it, I highly recommend it. It was an unbelievable game, easily the best game of the season so far. But speaking of that team that beat them, the Minnesota Vikings, that was basically an upset victory for them. The Minnesota Vikings are now basically in the top of the NFC, with the Eagles getting their first loss. That's the only team they've lost to, the Vikings. But I have to say, the Vikings, we've maybe started to underrate them a little bit. We've said to ourselves, oh, it's just the Vikings. Yeah, I get it. They're good. This is their best start in a few years, whatever. But I have to say, is it fair to say now the Minnesota Vikings are actual Super Bowl contenders now? Or do we think they're just going to end up still being the Vikings?
No, I think they're legit. You're looking at a team that was able to dismantle the top team the second best team in the NFL, the best team coming out of the AFC, arguably, and to play toe to toe with them, play really aggressively, and I like the way they play. I mean, Justin Jefferson had arguably his best game of the season, put monster numbers. They got the run game going. The defense came away with turnovers. I think we're seeing a new revamped not just overall team with the Vikings, and I really like what they're doing. And one thing which I really like is that they're playing in a system that's comfortable for Kirk Cousins. That's something you notice more in the NFL. When a quarterback plays in a system that benefits them, that suits him, he will play to his best. In the previous years under Mike Zimmer, Cousins never really did his best because the system wasn't in place for him. But now the system's better, and I do think that they have a legitimate chance with the weapons that they have, with the defense and the offense. They face a tough opponent this week in the Cowboys. That's another test that they'll have to do. But I think they can come on top with what they have, and I think they are legitimate Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, I agree completely. And also, just a quick follow-up. A few weeks ago when the Vikings were, I believe, 5-1 or 6-1, everybody's saying that what you're starting to realize is maybe the best move that the Vikings made the past offseason was getting rid of Zimmer. I mean, wouldn't you agree with that? Not even because of their record, just like you said, the way that they're playing. Would you agree that firing and getting rid of Mike Zimmer was definitely the A+ move of the offseason for the Vikings?
No, yeah, I completely agree with you because he didn't know how to make a scheme fittable for Kirk Cousins. And
Yeah, I agree completely. And this is another thing too. We're talking about teams that are in a hot streak or starting to get that swag in them that I think were really legit. Here's a team that's coming off their bye week, the New York Jets. The last time we saw this team, another upset victory. They upset the Buffalo Bills in a game nobody expected that had Jets fans going absolutely wild. I'm from New York. I'm not a Jets fan, but I am a Giants fan, but I still see all my friends texting in group chats, everything. Oh my God, the Jets, Jets. I couldn't believe it. So I have to say this. The Jets are going up against the Patriots. The last time they played, obviously, it was the last time they played the Patriots, it was a very sluggish game for them. They were on a winning streak. They ended it, but the Jets were very sluggish there. A lot of people got basically had to get talked off a ledge because they were saying Zach Wilson isn't the QB. It's not him. He is not the guy. He's not him. But if the Jets impress you this week and continue their winning ways and stay in first place, or at least tied atop the first place in the AFC East, would you consider them a sleeper team that is actually really legit going into the playoffs? Their defense is among the best in the league, if not the best in the league. Would you say that the Jets are a possible sleeper candidate to win a Super Bowl this year?
Super Bowl, I think, is a bit of a reach right now, but I do think a deep playoff run is possible. I like their offense. I like how Breece Hall is playing. I like how deep the running back room is. I would like them to involve Elijah Moore more in the offense. Ever since that trade, the trade discussions, I fell ill. I think he's kind of stepped back. I would love to see him step up in his role because I think that would help massively in Zach Wilson. I think he has been struggling, but I think if Elijah Moore emerges again, I think that will help Zach Wilson tremendously. I think he is a really talented quarterback. I think he has everything going for him, and I think that if he takes that extra step up, they can make a deep playoff run. And I still think they can, even if he just plays at a mediocre level. I think they have the pieces around them to run an effective offense and a really good defense, like you said, and make a deep playoff run.
Follow-up question, too, about the Jets and talking about getting players more involved and just key players on their team. Sauce Gardner, impressive player so far for the Jets. Possibly maybe defensive rookie of the year sort of thing. How are we feeling? We feel confident in that? I mean, even Darrelle Revis, the last great Jets cornerback for this team in this generation, he's given all the credit in the world to Sauce. I mean, Sauce has had to lock up certain opponents, and he's done the job of doing exactly that. Would you consider Sauce Gardner to be one of the best defensive rookies in the game right now? And if he's not one of the best defensive rookies, is he one of the best defensive players in the game right now?
I think he does deserve Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think he's pushing for as a top 5 corner this season. I think he has every trait that you want in a corner. He has the height, he has the length, he has the speed and the twitchiness, he has the instincts, and I think you just pair that up with more experience that's going to come by with time and reps. I think he has the makings to be a really good corner. I like his upside, and I just love how he's been playing, shutting down corners. He's going to become a true legitimate Darrelle Revis type. Like, you put him on an island, you don't have to worry about his side of the field.
Of course. And speaking, going into my next question now, top players in the game, Los Angeles Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp, high ankle sprain. He's on IR. The Rams have already not been that great of a team so far this season. Obviously, they're defending Super Bowl champions. It's starting to look like it might be a lost season for them. Matthew Stafford is not at all the same quarterback he was last season. I know that Aaron Donald came back, but it hasn't looked like it's made that much of a difference in terms of record. And another thing, too, is Cooper Kupp is now out. This is easily somebody where top wide receiver in the game. My fantasy team is currently crying because of Cooper Kupp's injury. I have to ask, I mean, with Cooper Kupp now being out the next 4 games, probably more with how severe the injury could be. We don't know for sure. Is it time to maybe start packing it in on this Rams season? I know that they're not completely out of it, but that NFC West is looking more and more like it'll just be more competitive between the Seahawks and the 49ers. Is it time to pack it in for the Rams? Are you still thinking they can have a shot at just a wild card spot? What do you think is in store for the Rams the rest of the way?
I see it really tough for them to try to even make it to like the wild card. I think it's really tough. That division, like you said, the 49ers, the Seahawks, they have yet to play the Seahawks. They have two games against them. They play the Chiefs, they play the Chargers, they play the Packers. Those are really competitive games right now. And if you don't have your star wide receiver, that limits you tremendously on offense. Their run game hasn't been going to, like, they haven't been able to start up the run game at all this season. It's been horrendous. And then the passing attack, losing Cooper Kupp is tremendous. And then you look at the receivers. The other guy, the second receiver, is Tyler Higbee. After that, Allen Robinson. And those guys really haven't been these like, oh my gosh, they are like elite receivers. They're more like quality number 3, maybe a number 2. Like these are not elite guys that you say one guy goes down, he can step up. It's more. I think it's a big cause of concern, and I don't know how if they'll be able to make a deep push, especially with the schedule. That's what concerns me the most.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely concerned about the Rams, and it's amazing because when they won the Super Bowl last year, I thought honestly, with the way they were in the short term, I thought maybe they could be another deep playoff run kind of team. I wasn't necessarily expecting repeat. I get that they lost Odell, they lost Von Miller. I understand that completely. That not a lot of people. Andrew Whitmore too. He retired. That's a big piece of their O-line that's now gone. So obviously, the thing about the Rams is they're just not the same team as last season, and it shows. It shows you they're not the same team. But with Cooper Kupp now being out, it's a huge cause of concern, and I don't think the Rams have it in them to fight back. But talking about teams that are up and coming, the NFL has been full of surprises this year. One of the biggest surprise is my hometown team, the New York Giants, 7-2. Obviously, Brian Dable, the head coach, love him. He's officially become a fan favorite. Even before he coached his first game with the Giants, going to New York Rangers hockey playoff games at Madison Square Garden, he was getting the crowd into it. He feeded off the energy. Same thing with Joe Schoen, the new general manager. So the Giants, with a win this week and an Eagles loss, the Giants and Eagles, by the way, have not played each other this season yet. They will play each other on December 11th. That will be their first meeting. So I have to ask, the Giants win this week, the Eagles lose this week. The New York Giants are first place in the NFC. And I have to ask, what is like a takeaway from this? Does it show you that maybe the Giants are more legit than we think? Maybe the Eagles aren't this Super Bowl contending team? Do you think that one of these two teams might just possibly finish in the top seed? So I guess to simplify my question is this. Are the New York Giants getting the first seed? Is it going to be the Eagles, or is it going to be a different team that gets the first seed?
I think as of now, the Eagles are currently on course to get the first seed, but I do think the Giants have a legitimate shot. I mean, their schedule, they only have a few tough games, I would say. Like the Cowboys, that's a toss-up. Those divisional matchups, to me, they're just toss-ups. Anyone can win, especially with how loaded the division is. It's a toss-up to me. Same thing with the Eagles. I think they split a game here and there. The Vikings, I think it's probably going to be their toughest matchup because, again, not a divisional rival, tough opponent. And I do think the Giants have it in them. I mean, I saw a stat. Daniel Jones hasn't thrown an interception since, I believe, week 3 or something like that, which is crazy to think about. You're talking about a quarterback who last year was viewed as like the most turnover quarterback in the league, worthy quarterback in the league. He'd always be throwing interceptions. There'd be jokes about him. But now he's becoming a legitimate quarterback. He's becoming a legitimate quarterback, and you're like, hey, this guy's the guy we thought he was at Duke. And I think that with the Eagles' schedule, too, you look at them, they still play the Titans, the Packers, they're semi-legit. The Giants 2 times, and the Cowboys, I do think that they're going to slip up a game here or there. I don't think the Eagles are going to go completely undefeated. There were some weaknesses seen when they played Washington, and I think they are a beatable team. And I think with also like the way the Giants have been playing, I think with the rest of the schedule, I do think the Giants have a chance to push to the first seed in both the NFC East and the NFC. It just depends how everything plays out.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I just cannot believe. I remember week 1 and week 2 thinking to myself, I didn't even expect if these are the only 2 wins the Giants have this whole season, I'm happy with it, honestly, almost. Even if the Giants finished at 5 wins, 5 or 6 wins even for the entire season, I was going to be happy with that because it's a rebuilding year, or at least everybody thought it was. It was going to be the steps towards progression of, we're trying to get back into playoff legitimacy and have people take us seriously again, because ever since our last Super Bowl, we've been one of the most laughing stocks in the league. So I'm very surprised by this. I don't know what's going to happen with the Eagles. I know that they just suffered their first loss the other day. I understand that the Vikings are still now a legitimate contender now to most in the NFC and in the NFL. Same thing with the Giants. We don't know for sure. I'm still, got to be honest, I'm still waiting on them to slip up. I feel like it's coming, but at the same time, I'm just enjoying the ride as long as the Giants keep winning games and secure a playoff spot. To me, for the Giants just to even play in a playoff game this season is a win for me this year. I know they say no moral victories, but that's a moral victory for me that I would take away from this season. But other than that, Santiago, I want to thank you a lot for joining me. I am Philip Clinton with the Just Good Network. We are presented by God Skills Pro. I hope that everybody has a blessed day. I hope everybody enjoys themselves. Santiago, thank you so much for joining. It was a real pleasure.